Hey everyone, Jim T. Graham with RCGroups.com, and today we're looking at the Breeze OSD Pro. OSD, of course, stands for on-screen display. Here's why I have this unit. I was flying FPV in a moderately sized Surfer 1500 from Ready Made RC, and I felt like I needed an on-screen display. I didn't want to go full blast and put in a full-on vector or something like that. I wanted to keep my weight down. I'm not leaving the area, so I didn't need return to home or anything like that. But I did want to know how high I was going, how fast I was going, and especially what my battery consumption was. Also, having a way to know where home is has come in handy. I've actually been in small pastures, made a wrong turn, and didn't know where I was all of a sudden. So I thought, okay, what could I find? I talked to Foxtech, and they sent me the Breeze OSD. And I have to say, I've really been, it's done everything that I wanted it to do. I had it in another airplane, and I was moving it over to the Surfer 1500. And I thought, well, while it's out, we should look at some of the components, talk about what they do, and then also I'll give you some tips I found that helped me that I was having trouble with. So let's just start out and we'll look at the board itself. And so this is the brain of the operation. And just so you'll be familiar with what goes where, I wanted to point out some of the plugs. So this is a jumper for power, and it goes over in a PDF that I will link to in this review on RCGroups.com on where to move it. I didn't move it anywhere. I run it on a 3-cell. It seems very happy there. Video in and video out. So here's my little pod that has my camera and video transmitter. So you have video in coming from the camera, and the video out going to this after the on-screen display does its magicalness, makes everything very OSD. And so in front of the board we have this, and it actually comes with a cable, so you can go out to your receiver. This is going to your voltage regulator in the middle, and then this is going to your GPS puck. The flashing light means everything's good. There is a little component right here, the silver piece. It has a hole in it. Don't cover that up. I think that's a barometer, which is cool. And then you have an input switch right here. So now we're going to talk about the input switch. My question was, every time I fired this up, I went to the on-screen display. And I needed to get in the menu. But I couldn't figure out how to do it. And I went online. I didn't really see anything about it. So I found a trick. And the trick is, you unplug your battery. And then when you plug it back in, you want to grab that button and push it down and hold it down. Oh, I did not hold it down fast enough. So we're going to do it again. Okay, so I held it down. We'll go over here, and now we're in the menu. So the button's very simple. You just push it to move down the menu. If you want to get on to one of your topics, you hold, and it changed it to PAL. We're going to talk about PAL right now. So I was having an issue. All my on-screen display, there's a couple of options in here, and we'll look at those. But whenever I was in PAL, it was pushing my voltages below my screen. I didn't realize I was in PAL, actually. I couldn't figure out what the problem was. So let's get back to video. I was in auto. And auto was doing that to me. And so I looked at a bunch of different things. I was looking at my DVR, and then finally I was like, maybe it's this auto. So I switched from auto to, dangnabbit, NTSC, and it fixed everything. And we're going to exit here, holding down. And as you can see, everything's on the screen. It actually seems in the NTSC bolder and brighter to me, so I'm pretty excited to get back out to the field and shoot the video for that. So those are all your outputs. As far as I can tell on the puck, the smooth wafer side is your actual GPS puck. And so in this airplane, on the last airplane I just mounted it out on the wing. On this airplane I'm probably going to go into the back and let that GPS puck see through the foam and live in the back of the airplane and stay out of the way. So this is your voltage regulator. We're going in from our ESC on this side, and then the battery is going in from that side. Very simple. And mine's kind of free. I'll tuck it in when I get ready to fly, but you could secure yours. And what else? My biggest tip is how to get to the menu screen. My second one is to be sure to pick the right NTSC or PAL to get your on-screen correct. And so you can push the button and hold it down after you get out of the menu, and that changes your on-screen displays. And then what we should do is go over what some of these things are real quick. You'll be able to figure this out. So let's go over some of the aspects of the on-screen display itself. Some of it's very simple and some of it's not. This is your satellite receiver, and it will show bars when it actually finds a satellite. And this is longitude and latitude. This is like a trip odometer. This shows you how far you've gone for the whole trip. Flight timer tells you how long you've been in the air. Pretty handy. And then we also have our voltages. V is video voltage, P is power voltage, and mine's coming off the same pack, so the numbers are the same. You could run a separate battery if you wanted to for your video and power your plane off a different pack, I believe. And then down here we have a mAh consumption counter, which that's pretty awesome too. So a lot of good stuff on this screen. We're going to jump to another screen, and this is the second screen. So in the middle, the little circle represents you, that is home, and then the arrow is your bird. And once you get in the air and fly around, it's real easy to figure out which way is home. We have our satellite indicator up in the right. Once again, that'll show bars, longitude, latitude. You have a compass, you have a speed on the left, and altitude on the right. This is kind of my favorite. It is cluttered, but it gives all the information we need. We have our voltages again, and like I say, I'm only running power, so on this one it shows P for your power system, 10.8, and then this is how much current you're drawing right below that. Since we're not flying, we're not drawing any current. And this is interesting, ground distance to home, so you know how far away you are. We have the flight timer down here in the bottom. And then we have the video voltage on the right side for this one. And let me see what else. We have the trip odometer as well. So for me, this is about everything I could have asked for to have on the unit. So I like it a lot. I like the size. It all stands out. It works. One more thing before we jump into the air with this thing is, we'll pan down, your board. Much like a flight controller, like a Vector or a unit like that, this has to be pointed the right way. It says in the manual to point the airplane the right direction. There's no airplane on this board. So what I did is I looked at some of the other boards that are like this, that are bigger. It's a larger version of this OSD. But you want the front of the unit is actually where your GPS plugs into. That's a good way to remember. And so, you know, you could mount this here in the fuse. I'm going to go right here in the nose and mount it a little, maybe not. Maybe if I go too far forward, I'll lose it if I crunch the nose. So I may just go flat to the bottom. I don't have anything down here. So my board will live here. GPS will live in the back. And then I have this cool little cockpit. This does not come with the unit, the micro head play goggle set. That's something that only this pilot has, that I have on my little pod here. So anyway, that'll get you started and let you understand how all of this works. And once again, the beauty is the weight, and I'm flying it on this RMRC 1500 Surfer. Not a big airplane, all foam. Very nice. So let's go and jump in the air and just take a look at flying around in the on-screen display there. Alright, welcome to Evelyn Warner Field. This is our home field. It's been around since about 1922. It's where I learned to fly. And I'm going to pick this thing up and hand launch it myself in the goggles. So check this out. There's a little dip right there, which I'm taken advantage of in case I don't get a good enough throw. And let's see what we get here. I'm turned sideways. So now I'm level. I'm at 1 foot, 0 foot, 1 foot. Okay, so everything's up to speed now. The height looks right. The speed looks right. And you can see how that OSD is really fitting on the screen. Also, when you utilize the NTSC, everything is brighter and bolder. If you get in PAL, you'll know you're in PAL because everything on that on-screen display is kind of transparent and pale. Doesn't look very good. So that's a good indicator if you're using the auto function that you're in the wrong setup, that you need to be in the NTSC. And once again, by being in NTSC, it allowed all that information to get on my screen. Before, it was cutting it off right below the 11.8, and everything below was gone. So we have that. Also, I noticed something here in the first part of the video. I said that the circle was the craft. I said you were the circle. So if you look in the middle of the screen, you'll see the circle. The circle is actually the plane or the quad that you have the on-screen display on. And the line is pointing towards me. So the line is always pointing towards home. So we have our longitude and latitude working. We have the total distance flown in the upper left-hand corner. And it probably is showing 12 minutes in the bottom because I had the plane turned on for a while before I actually got into the air. There's some planes going by. Hello. Also, one thing I want to note, in the upper right-hand corner, you're going to see the satellite icon with all those great bars. I was in the shop and I wasn't getting a satellite icon, and I thought that I'd broken the wires in the satellite. And so I'm testing the antenna right here, by the way, which is why we saw a little static. But I thought that I had a GPS problem, so I'm like, great, I got everything on here, everything's working, ready to go fly. Now the GPS isn't working. And actually, to test it, I put it outside of the workshop. Of course, there's no signal in the workshop. Put it on my table and kept a screen in the workshop, and the bars popped up. So if it doesn't see satellites for a little while, it will drop the icon. So there's nothing wrong with your unit. You can test it by doing what I did. Just set it outside and let it grab some satellites out of the sky. So you see it, you can determine if this is the kind of information you're looking for. I really had an idea of putting a vector into this Surfer 1500, and you could do it, but it would be packed and it would be a good amount of weight. And after getting this small light unit in there, the Cyclops Breeze Pro, I thought for sure that this was about as much as I would want to stick in this plane. With a 3-cell LiPo, I think I'm running a 2200, and the on-screen display piece and everything else that goes with the plane, I was still light enough to, it wasn't heavy, still flies great, doesn't drop a wing. You can chop the stick and bring it all the way to the ground. It's not going to drop a wing. I had this in a different airplane, and you couldn't slow it down. So this is my overview of the Cyclops Breeze OSD Pro from Foxtech. I want to thank them for hooking me up with this unit. It looked great in the goggles. It wasn't huge. I loved, and one of my main things was having a current sensor so I could monitor my battery while I'm in the air and land when I needed to, not when I thought I needed to. Came with everything I needed. It was very simple to set up. There were a few things that I've mentioned in this video that weren't included as far as instructions go, but you have those now. Be sure to check out the full review on RCGroups.com. The link will be below in the description. I'm Jim T. Graham with RCGroups.com.